All right. Hi, and welcome everybody to session number 5. And I guess before we get started, any questions, any follow-ups, anything from last time? If not, then I would say let's continue where we left off last time, which is with the definite article. And then I wanted to take us to adverbial sentences and where type questions, like where something is. And let's see how far we get on that topic today. Before we do that, I was thinking about some of the discussion we had the last time about signs and how to best learn them. So I thought one way how to attack that topic would be to have like a signs used in this session at the beginning of each call, and I'll also send it out a few days in advance next time. Actually did this time as well. So if you want to take a look and familiarize yourselves with them when if you're still new to the writing system, I think that could be a good way for these things to look less unfamiliar when you come across them in the call. So I'll just go through them real quick since it's the first time we do it. So I'm only putting the phonetic signs because those are the ones that you really need to read the word and also to look it up in the dictionary. And for today, that would be chem with the emphatic H, for example, in the word chemit, a woman or wife, actually, yeah. Survives as part of eschime in Coptic. There's like another little word in front of it, but you can clearly still see that word here surviving. Ta, the word for earth or land. I'm sorry, this is the sign. This is how the word is most commonly spelled, although you can leave the determinatives at the bottom off. They're not necessarily written for that word. It lives on as to in Coptic, so it must have been something like ta in late Egyptian. This sign stands for mu. It's a vulture. Most commonly, you'll see it in the word mute. Some write mute for mother. This survives as ma'au in Sahidi Coptic, whether double or single vowel, that depends on dialect. That's what I'm saying in Sahidic. All the examples I'm giving for Coptic are always Sahidic, simply to keep it consistent. All right, what's next? Son, for example, in the word brother, son. Nu, for example, in the word Nut, the goddess Nut, that is. Also for the sky. So you have the sky glyph in here, and you have something to indicate a female god, a goddess. That's normally written with the cobra. I hope you can see the one at the bottom here fine. In my case, it's covered by some Zoom stuff. Trying to move.
It's okay.
Okay, so that would be the H, shen. For example, in the word shenu, inside, interior, survives as hun in Coptic. And you can see I also smuggled the nu in here. There are a few words which use two bilaterals, and shenu is one of them, where you have an initial bilateral, a complement, and then a nu. Okie doke. Let me go on a little bit. Unless there are any questions. If there are questions, just interrupt. Jew, most commonly seen in the word for mountain, which lives on as do in mountain in Coptic. Of course, also used in other words, but that would be a common case. In late Egyptian, often spelled with two W's. Why exactly, I'm not sure. And then there's a little rock at the end. It's a common spelling, at least in late Egyptian hieratic. Then we have su, SW. For example, in the very common pronoun su, which means he in Middle Egyptian, and in late Egyptian can also take on the form of the female pronoun. We'll talk about that in today's call. So it can replace the older set for the female pronoun to become he and she in certain types of sentences. All right, almost done. Let's see, we have me, MJ or MI, depending on which transcription you use. So lots of words that have that syllable in there are spelled this way. An example, for example, would be demi, village. It lives on as time or time in Coptic. I'm not sure where the stress goes, actually. It may have been time. Something interesting, it's a masculine word, but maybe because it had a vowel at the end, they like to write an extra T there as if it was a feminine noun. Just something you have to get used to. So it's really masculine. We know that because of the article it goes with. What else? Sa, back, very common in the preposition emsa, behind. I used two different forms here. If you see this glyph or this glyph, it's just a graphical variant. It's the exact same thing, whether it has the box or it doesn't have the box. Last two. This one here, I hesitated to put it as a phonetic sign because it's really only used in two words with that phonetic value. It's used a lot as a determinative. What is it? Well, it is a phallus. And interestingly, a lot of default fonts censor this and any related glyphs because apparently as modern people, we can't handle that. The Egyptians didn't have such a problem. If, for example, in the very common preposition, embach, in front of somebody, before somebody, like before the king, before the judge, before the court, that is spelled this way, embach. It lives on in Coptic as emach. And since we're getting to prepositions today, I put that in. Finally, sher. Again, another phonetic sign being used in different words, very common in sher, the preposition, which for some reason in late Egyptian is spelled with an extra Y. I put that in like as a superscript because I'm not sure if it was pronounced or not. The word below in Coptic is chrai, or rather that's like the lower part. Chrai towards the lower part means like down or below. So that's a really common word. I'm wondering if there was already, if that's a vowel marker, if there was a Y. Neveu doesn't even spell it out. He just writes shared, which I think is what most people do. Feel free to do the same thing. I haven't decided yet if I want to mark it or not mark it because I'm not sure what it is actually. But so those are the signs that we're going to run into today beyond your uniliterals and beyond any determinatives. I'll pause here for a moment if there are any questions.
I don't know, it may be a minor thing, but why did you choose the phallus, the ejaculated phallus? Because this one is not used very frequently for embach. It's usually just a phallus without any action. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. So you put that very delicately. I like it. There are both versions. That's a good question, honestly. I mean, normally when I run into something like this, what I do is I don't unlock annual savings, but I go to Ramses Online and would look up a few attestations specifically for that time frame. And I really don't know what the answer is, so let's see what comes out of it.
Yeah, so Ramses shows this. Interesting.
Maybe it's a change in the way that now we'd really have to look at the hieratic.
Because I've seen that's a very strange sentence. I've seen an ejaculating phallus only in words that are connected to sex, and to other liquids, that are involved. So not for embach.
Interesting. Maybe it is would have to look really now at the whatchamacallit.
I think it's just a minor thing. It's still recognizable without this detail.
Right. I wonder if you can still distinguish them in like Ramesside hieratic, because, for example, one thing that happens with the glyph pa, in hieroglyphs you have the two, right? You have the bird which has the little wings at the back, and you have the one wing down, and in like, I'm sure in 19th dynasty hieratic they're the same. You can't really tell which of the two it is anymore because they're written exactly. So I'm wondering if the same thing happens with Bach, whether the two types of, should I call them phalli now? What's the plural here? Phalluses. If they can even be distinguished, I'm not sure. It would be a good follow-up.
I'm checking. They are clearly distinguished.
Oh, they are. Okay.
So that's not the reason. Like that is the downwards line, the action as you called it, is quite clearly visible.
Interesting. Okay. Well, so much for that theory. Thanks for looking that up. Then I'll just park it. Actually, I had something on that. Let's come back to that in 10 minutes because I want to show you guys something how you can resolve these kind of questions easily. Well, sometimes at least. Let's park it for about 10, tops 15 minutes, if that's okay. But thanks for the comment. Well, so those were the signs for this week. Last week we left it on the definite article. And if somebody could just quick reminder what those were, like for the singular masculine, the singular feminine, and then the plural article. Get a quick shout out.
Ta,
That's right.
and na.
That's
na.
exactly. Thank you very much. So if we use that now to apply it, for example, to a word, so if we want to turn the mountain in, if we want to turn land or earth into the land, and then the plural into the lands, and then the same thing for sky, the sky and the skies, or the heavens, what would that be? Taking volunteers.
Taput for feminine, the sky. Taput.
Mhm.
Is that right?
That's correct. And for the
And then the na tau.
yeah. Natau, that's right.
Is that right?
Mhm. So it would be pata, it would be natau, it would be tapet, like you said, and it would be, yeah, and that now becomes difficult. Is it napet? Is it napewet? We really can't tell from the spelling. If you look at the Coptic plural, it's pewe. So that would strongly suggest that there was a W in the pronunciation in late Egyptian, so that's really pewet. So papet, napewet, but we don't really know that for sure. For ta, sometimes they spell it, and so I know that it's natau. I'd leave it up to everybody how they want to transcribe that. Oops. So if you want to transcribe it with the W, that's one option. If you want to transcribe it just with like a little plural on the upper right corner to indicate that we have plural strokes and we don't really know how to pronounce it, I think either would be fair. And it really doesn't make a difference as long as you recognize that it's a plural, and you will, because you always have the article there. That's a really nice step up from Middle Egyptian, where this Patana is used in Middle Egyptian, but it means this. So it's really a demonstrative pronoun, so it's much rarer. And in late Egyptian, every sentence has a few of these. In Coptic, epto, plural, ento, etpe, and plural, enpewe for Sahidic. It's really nice to see how the language lives on here. And that's really, I think, all I can say about that. Let's do a couple more examples. Here I have the words for father and mother. So father is it or yod in Coptic. Plural is, well, maybe iti, because you see that whatchamacallit, that double repleaf at the end in some spellings. Pronounced in Coptic, at least in Sahidic, it's yote, sorry, short omicron. The F is not pronounced as much as we know. Lots of ink has been spilled on that. People have called it a determinative that only occurs in this one word, which is a fancy way of saying we have no idea why it's there, but it doesn't seem to be pronounced. So it's really it and maybe iti in late Egyptian. Mother, mut, and then the plural, who knows again? I don't even know what the plural is in Coptic. It's mao in the singular, but I'm not sure if there's a separate plural form or if you just say basically and mao. If I could get somebody to give me the articles on this one real quick, how would the Egyptian version be for the father, the fathers, the mother, and the mothers? I know that one's not too hard, but if I can have a quick volunteer, would be great.
I'll do it.
All right.
So I'm starting with father. So that's going to be mamut. No, mamu. No, mayut. Mayit.
Hang on, which one are you on?
I'm trying to do the father.
Okay. What's the masculine singular article? The masculine singular version?
That's going to be, sorry, pa, eat.
You got it. That's right. Pa-it.
And then the mother is going to be ta, tamot.
That's right. Tamut. That's correct.
Plural father is na et.
Probably, yes.
Plural mother na moot.
That's right. Perfect. 100% correct. That's exactly what it is. So good. Well done. Pa-it, or in Coptic, epiot. Plural na-iti. I'm just going to run with it. Plural in Coptic, nyote or yote. The mother is tamut or itmau. And plural, well, I don't know for Coptic. If somebody knows, please let me know. Naively, I would now say enmau, because I don't know any better. In Coptic and in late Egyptian, well, something like namut or whatever it is in vocalization. So yeah, I think everybody got the principle, how that works. Don't want to dwell on it for too long. I have a few more examples. I'll just go through them quickly. So this one then obviously would become Parson, the brother, plural, Nasneu. Tarsenet, or in Coptic Tarsone, is the sister. And well, here again, the plural, I think, is Sone. You see that they spell it differently. They put a nu in here, which is interesting. So one thing I want to call out from the Coptic, you can see that the plural does a lot of different things. For some words in Coptic, you can just use the singular word with the plural article. For some, it changes shape. You add an extra W at the end. Sometimes it's added between the consonants before that. Sometimes vowel changes. There are like lots of special plural forms, which may be hidden, unfortunately, in the hieroglyphic writing, because we don't write vowels. Sometimes you can tease them out just by how semiconsonants appear, like a W or a Y. I'll give you a few examples of that in a moment. The mountain, Padu or Ju, becomes Abdo in Coptic, plural. Here you can see that it's one of those plural forms. So it's in the spelling, it's Naju again, no difference, just the article changes. In Coptic, you can see it's Intuye. So it has some kind of ye sound in it, which is interesting. Also happens for water. Epmo, the water, Pamu. And then the plural, it's Namu. This exists in late Egyptian. Coptic is Enmuye. So they may have been pronounced differently, and we just don't know, because all they write is 3 water lines. Unfortunately, that's something that we just have to live with. Would become different if you wanted to revive late Egyptian. But if we're just trying to read it and maybe write a little bit in it, it's not going to be much of an issue. One more interesting one. I try to pick words which have both female and masculine and feminine forms. So God is an interesting one in that context. Pa-nature, or probably something really pa-nature in Egyptian earlier, becomes epnute. Plural, well, normally you would say na-necheru in Egyptological pronunciation, but in Coptic it's nenter or nentair. So you can tell that the stress moved to the second syllable. So it must have been something like nenture or nentere in late Egyptian. The spelling doesn't give you any hint. You just 3 times the flag of the god, and then like a Horus on a standard, or affectionately known as the bird on a stick, as the determinative. The female version, ta and necheret, presumably, or if you look at the Coptic, tentore, it survives in Coptic. Interestingly enough, there's a female version of the god, tentore. So that tells you it must have been something like tencheret or tencharet, something like this, tencharet, tentaret in late Egyptian. And again, the plural, we don't know. One thing you see a lot in the plural is there's like a double reed leaf in there. So it must have had some kind of year glide. Nenteriet, who knows? So in terms of learning it, just watch out for the articles, pa, ta, and na. Normally the word goes into plural strokes if it's in the plural. Sometimes the spelling changes because there were some kind of vowel changes or semi-vowel changes in the word, which you can often tease out in Coptic. I'm going to pause again. Any questions? I've been racing through this because I think the principle is rather clear, but yeah, let me know if there are any questions on it. Or have I knocked everybody to sleep? Not yet? Okay. I'll keep trying. All right, then, yeah. One thing I wanted to the question that Nikita had asked in the beginning about spellings, something that's really helpful, at least for me, as I'm putting these together. Spellings change over time. And so how do I know that the spellings I'm showing you are really correct for late Egyptian as opposed to Middle Egyptian, pyramid text and whatnot? The Thesaurus Linguae Egyptii, okay, I'm just not pronouncing it Latin, not English, so Thesaurus Linguae Egyptii, this one's your friend. Because if you look in the so-called Zettelkasten or digitized slip archive, which sounds kind of weird, but basically the digitized index cards of the original Wörterbuch or dictionary, there's a ton of examples in there, and you can basically see how the spelling of a word changes over time. Like, for example, the plural of goddesses here in the pyramid text. So you see what they do is they just put 3 times the cobra, necheret, and then 3 times the cobra, or necheret, again, 3 times the cobra. Mittleres Reich in German, or Middle Kingdom. You see common spellings here, just like God plus R plus T and then plural strokes. Or you could again have the cobra. Totenbuch or Book of the Dead, A New Kingdom. You see the spellings there, and then basically it goes on like this: 18th dynasty, 19th dynasty. And so that gave me the confidence to tell you, well, the time that we're talking about, that's where we get the spellings that I showed you, and it really has the Y in there, the double reading. Unfortunately, most of the stuff is in German, so that makes it a bit harder to look up, but it's a great resource. If you don't know how to get there, in case that's news, so basically it's the Thesaurus. Oops. Oh, well, of course it's coming up. Thesaurus Linguae Egyptii. And there are 2 versions. There is the old one, that's the one that starts with the weird AAEW whatnot, and there's the new one. The new one has a much nicer interface where you can just type your word in hieroglyphs or in translation and then look it up and also find related words and whatnot. Where the old one is really nice is the old one has, if you go in there, the old one has the ability to look for this digitized slip archive that I was talking about. So if you pick any word and you go in there, it says for this word, there are in the digitized slip archive 1,525 images. So if you're looking for places where it could be appearing, I mean, this is a cornucopia of examples. And you can also look up example sentences, example text. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here. If you're new to Egyptian, this site is a bit overwhelming, but it's also it's a treasure trove. Really cute. If you're looking for something, you actually have to click on the little gem or gemi find bird that takes you to the search to a search engine. So they assume that you know that you can read some Egyptian to be able to use it. All right. So just
I want to comment on CLA. It may ask a login and password from you.
yes.
Yes, and you just type guest in login and guest in password. So yeah,
Thank you.
it may, but it also may not. Yeah.
It takes a bit of getting used to. There's like a 4-page tutorial actually on how to use the new TLL.
Oh yeah.
I have to admit I haven't read it yet, but I've read the first page. I thought, wow, this is cool, and then wanted to read the rest at some point in time. I'm going to post that in our group again if you're curious how to use this resource. But yeah, you're right. Guest, and sometimes your operating system will complain that this password has been found in a database of hacked passwords. Yeah, well, it's guest. I mean, what do you expect? But yeah, so don't worry about that one. So all the plurals I showed you, they were authentic. They're all sourced based on the TLA to make sure I'm not showing you something that would have been true for the coffin texts or for the Old Kingdom or whatnot, because these things change, unfortunately. Or maybe that just keeps it interesting. All right. Any more questions on Patana? Okay, I think I've beaten that one to death. If you wanted to make it instead of this, I'm sorry, of the, if you want to make it this, you have Patana. We talked about that before. Works the same way. One more thing I should maybe say, the na, you can also find na n, like in Middle Egyptian. So these off, that's only in the 19th dynasty in older late Egyptian. Instead of seeing like na remech, the men, the people, you may see na en remech, which is just basically a more classical way of using these articles. And I think that's really all that can be said about them. Cool. Well, next, I wanted to go to something completely different, namely how to open the topic of adverbial sentences, talking about location, where to find something. The word for where in New Egyptian is teni. In Coptic, it becomes don. Here's how it's spelled: T-N, nu, W, and then a whole host of determinatives that I can't even begin to explain. I'm not sure why you have that vertical stick, the bird, and the book roll, or the alien coming out of a chocolate box. Not certain why they're in there. It may be carried over from another word. But yeah, that's a very distinctive spelling of the word teni or ten, and it means where. Now, to be able to use it, we first need to know how to make adverbial sentences in late Egyptian. I'm simplifying here a little bit. So adverbial sentences where the predicate is an adverbial expression. So something like in English, he is there. Adverbial sentences, not generally, is maybe an overstatement, often tell you where something is. So they're super common. And Egyptian doesn't have a word for is. So the way that you form that, for example, if you wanted to say with a nominal subject, the crocodile is in the river, it would be pa mesech em pa iter. So pa mesech, the crocodile, em in, pa iter, the river. Of course, pa is our article that we just talked about. And iter we had before with a ton of determinatives at the end to indicate that this is a body of water. If you wanted to say he's in the river, or it in this case, so a pronominal subject, you just use, a series of pronouns. For masculine, singular, that would be su. So su, empaiter, he's in the river, or it is in the river. There's no distinction between it or he. It's the same su. Su originally, like in Middle Egyptian, is he, set or se, the T is not pronounced anymore, used to be she. As time goes on, for example, if you pull up Zatzinger for late Egyptian, he'll just say it's su. He's not wrong. As the language progresses, this becomes like the standard pronoun for both genders. And note there's no verb for to be. So that's why this is not a verbal sentence. You basically say he in the river, or she in the river, or it. Basically just gluing the adverbial phrase right behind the pronoun or behind the nominal subject. And that's really all there is to it. From an English perspective, not hard to understand. Let me see what else I have. Oh yeah, let's do some examples. And as usual, I'll take some volunteers for that. Hope you guys can see my screen. So yeah, who wants it?
I can do it.
All right.
Right, so ta, who had, hem ta sechet.
That sounds very good. Sechet would work. That's right. Didn't have that word yet. Hang on. How do I do transliteration here? Here we go. So, nice try. That's better. Do we want the male or the female one? I think you picked the female one, right? Taichet.
Yeah, I did the female. Yeah.
That's fine. I said the
Yeah.
count. So taichet tasechet is what you said?
Tasechet.
I think that's right,
Few.
right? Oh, is it? Did I mess something up?
Yeah, that's correct.
Like this, right?
Yeah, Sechet.
I was gonna use, we had Yachid before. So either of those could work. All right. Let's see if we can do this one in hieroglyphs. Whoops. So let's use the T. Nice thing, you can actually spell this. Yeah, that's a really nice thing about this conversion. You can just type things in, and it will automatically convert it for you. T. Yeah, I'm going to use the Yachid here for a moment, just because we had that before. Oops. At N23, yes. There we go. Now, I didn't put them into nice squares, but I guess it's okay. Let's just go with it in the interest of time. Very well done. Cool. We had the word at before for house or room. Let's use that one. The man's in the house.
Yeah.
Go for it. Hey, Mustafa.
Yeah. Pa. Si. Pa si.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but let's look at late Egyptian. You're right. In Middle Egyptian, it would be missing, but let's make it late Egyptian.
I don't know late Egyptian, but I couldn't remember actually. What was that? Yeah, Ramet.
Coptic, like an Eberome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rome. Parome. Gen. Pa. Maybe ta. Pet.
Yeah.
Per, yeah.
You're right. That's actually how it would commonly be said. The other option, a bit more Coptic, would be at. That's the other
Yeah,
option.
look much more late Egyptian.
Correct. Now, this word can have many meanings. It can mean like habitation, it can mean room, it can mean house.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can't we use the word Hanu for the inside?
Yeah, hang on. So how do you do this correctly?
In the first slide, you had given you had suggested the word for inside. It is Hanu.
Right. So there's two meanings of in. Let me park that for one moment. I'm gonna get there on the next page. It's a good question. You're getting a lot of noise. Shailesh, is that you by any chance?
I will reduce the sensitivity of my mic.
Okay, awesome. So the way you'd spell Romich is without the M. So it would just be something like this. And then if we use the version that Mustafa gave us, it would be M pa per. Oops. Per, I guess we could just do it this way.
Is there any possibility to use with female article?
For per, I don't think so.
Not at.
At is female, I'm pretty sure, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Should be female, so that would be something like that. Ta'at. Very good. Thank you very much. That sounds good. What do we make out of the mountain is in Egypt? This one's a bit more tricky because the word Egypt is a bit more, it's a bit longer.
I can try.
Go ahead.
Ju.
That's right. Just going to go straight
Pa-
to Egyptian if that's okay. Mhm. Oops.
Ju.
No, I can't remember how to do that stone.
Maybe N25 would be fitting it.
Isn't it an O kind of thing? O20? No, O26. I really don't know.
I think N25, if I correctly
Okay.
remember.
Say so. Let me try. N25.
I mean, nah, I just think whatever. Not so important actually.
That's fine, but let's skip it. Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. Paju Kemet.
Yeah, I wonder, would you say Kemet or Time Kemet? I'm not completely sure, to be honest.
I just trying to fit with the English sentence.
I'd be kind of tempted to say Ta and Kemet.
I don't know.
But I'm not completely sure if that's really necessary. If you could say the mountain is Kemet, maybe. Maybe that's also good enough. Possible. Let me add that little stone in there. Easiest way how to find it is if you have a list of hieroglyphs handy. Here you go. O39. So O39. And there you go. All right, well done.
Yeah.
Just 2 more. We're doing well on time.
Can you bear to put the transliteration in, only because I'm still kind of trying to work it out.
That's good. No, that's fine. If I can find it. So the first one would be pa. So pa plus aleph. So that's pa. Pa ju. That's the mountain. Ju. It's spelled with a double W. I'm not completely sure why that is. M. And then here put in parentheses ta, the land, ta n. And then Kemet, Egypt. KM plus M is Kem plus T is Egypt. And then you have a little city there for locations. All right.
Just have one question. I couldn't find in the dictionary, also in Ramsden's online, I could not find Kemet at all. Is it attested in late Egyptian? I only could find Ta and Medi.
Oh, really? It's not in there? That's
Oh, it's not in there. I mean, maybe I didn't look it up properly. But...
Let me see what's going on there. So KM. There it is.
No, all right. Okay.
Could it have been?
Yeah, I look like the French, Egypt, and it didn't.
I know what you ran into. That's pretty funny. Oh no, it actually. What happens is it actually wants the.
It wants
the accent. It's very picky with that. I've run into that before where I was looking for a word like it's not there. It's because it really wants you to spell proper French.
Aurelia, I think you might have confused with the article because takemet with the article is very often used.
Ah, okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. That makes sense. So you would say it should just be takemet?
Kemet is fine, but for example, in the Camus stele from the 17th dynasty, it's used like both kemet and ta kemet with the with article are used.
That makes sense. I agree. Yeah, that makes sense. I've also seen, I could swear I've seen the land of Egypt, but
Okay.
Tameri is also fine. So like the land of canals sounds quite good. And I think that's about it for the names for Egypt.
right.
It can be just Tapen, this land as well.
So I'll just go with yours. I like it. So we just go like Padu and Kemet. It's probably the best. I like it. Very good. Let's do two more. The fish are underwater. Any takers?
I take it.
All right.
Narem.
That's right. Okay, I'll first do transliteration then. Let's stay consistent. Narin. Aha.
Empamu.
That's right. I think that's right. I mean, I'm making these up. They're not all not attested, but it sounds right. I would have said the exact same thing. How do we get that into hieroglyphs? Let's do it because that's what we're learning, right? So, you can spell it with double R in Late Egyptian. Funny enough, but I'll stay with the. There we go. Let's give it an M, a W, and plural strokes. There we go. And you said M, Ba, Mu. There you go. Well done.
Would you put the M before the fish determinative
I think you
rather
could.
than
Yeah,
after?
I think so. Let's have a
I
look.
feel like I've seen it more that way, but I might be wrong.
I'm honestly not sure. Let's take a look. Okay, that's a cop out. You can just write the determinative. Here you go. Remo. Actually, the W first and then the, I think that's where I probably confuse people. The fish should be at the end. Let's do that. That makes more sense. Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. And one last one.
Naset Pademi.
Okay, yeah. Naset is not bad, but they use a more complex word normally in Late Egyptian.
Hamet.
Right, and you actually glue the two together. Naset Kemet.
Oh yeah, Late Egyptian. Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's how we can really tell it's a different language. It uses different words. Oh wait, but actually in the plural, I think you don't use the set anymore. My bad. I think it's just this. I think. And I hope I'm not wrong on that. Naset Chimet or Hyome in Coptic. And you said, did you say Pa or Ta Dimet?
Yeah, first I said Pa, but Demi is feminine, isn't it? It's a
It isn't.
location.
You had it right. It's Pa Dimet.
Okay.
It's just, it looks like one because sometimes they spell a T at the end, even though it shouldn't have one. Because they just felt at this point in time, probably it's an A vowel, and they don't perceive the T necessarily as a feminine ending anymore, at least not in vernacular writing. So that's how that comes about, I think.
So in Late Egyptian, when pluralizing women, you leave off the set Hemet, it's just Hemet.
I think that is true.
Okay.
It definitely is true in Coptic, because in Coptic you say Eschime, like Teshime is the woman, Nechiome is the women, so the S is gone. And I think that is also true for Late Egyptian, if I'm not completely mistaken. Be one woman plural strokes, and oh my God, how do you write D, man? D, I think, M-E, reed leaf, T, and there you go. All right. So you can make adverbial sentences now. Of course, I only used one preposition here, which is in the general purpose M, which means a lot of things in late Egyptian or in Egyptian in general. It would work the same way with other, like upon or under or behind or in front of or whatnot. Subject, preposition, and then the rest of the adverbial phrase. Also, you could put a word like here, for example, could go as well as an adverbial. Actually, let's go there. Let's take a look at the next two slides. So let's make questions with this. Where is he? And that works the same way. You now use the subject, and instead of the adverbial expression with a preposition, you just put the word teni, where, right after it. So to form a where questions, basically either your subject with a nominal subject, or your pronouns, so su or set, and plus the word where. So he where, su teni. Simple as that. Now, one little wrinkle you need to know about is if you have a noun and you want to make a question, the way you actually ask that is su teni, and then whatever you're asking about. Like, for example, where's the village would become su teni patime. And then you could answer that, su em patan kemit. I did that again. Maybe it's just su em kemit, possibly. Where is the mother? Su teni tamut. Se dai, or se di. She's here. I said die because it's still die in Coptic for here. But yeah, in hieroglyphs, it's just spelled D-Y, and then this little glyph that normally stands for things that have to do with the way or far away location. So that's where this is normally used, like location expressions. And that's really it. So you can't really put the subject directly in front, unless I'm terribly mistaken. But you have to first use the pronoun and then you glue it in at the end. So he, where, namely the city. Okay, any questions about that one? If not, then the other thing I wanted to show you guys is some common prepositions. There are way more. So M is like the general in. It can also be, it can be with, it can be from, confusingly, from a place. For the fun of it, I just put the Chinese U because it's similar, varied in meanings. I call it a general purpose preposition. When you basically want to indicate the approximate location of something, use M. There is a specific word, M, genu, inside. Actually, that's an adverb, if I'm not mistaken. It's composed of M and then genu, which means interior. And that can be used if you want to specify that something is not just in a place, but it is really inside the box. Those two are separate in the way they're formed, like in many languages. For example, Chinese has that too, the difference. We use in rather liberally in English, I would say. Some languages make a stricter distinction, but we have inside if you really want to stress something as inside and not just in a place, if that makes sense. Upon is super common, and we'll need that next week because I want to take this to adverbial sentences, which are essentially formed by using the her preposition and then the infinitive. That's a very late Egyptian thing to do. Sher, under, talked about in the very beginning, that why may or may not be there. In Coptic, it becomes ichrai. Emach, in the presence of, in Coptic, emach, super common in text because somebody's always speaking in front of the court, in front of the Ennead. He came before the vizier or whatnot. So you'll see this a lot. This is used with people in front of, in the presence of somebody. Emsa, behind, after, becomes ensa in Coptic. Before is a bit more tricky. There's a ton of expressions. I'm not going to go there right now. And many, many prepositions more. But basically, we can use these already to make a few sentences. And so, for example, if you wanted to say, where is the snake? It is under the stone. let's do that. It's actually my last slide for today. We're doing well on time. But I think one thing we'll need the word for snake. It's Hof in Coptic. It's Khafar, if I'm not mistaken, in Late Egyptian, but let's look up how to spell that. There you go. There's a male and a female one. Let's use the male one. F-A-U-W, Khafau. All right. So where would you say, where is the snake? And then we tackle the second part. Any volunteers?
If nobody else wants it, I'll take it.
All right.
Souteni pa Khafau.
That was 100% correct, I believe. Souteni pa Khafau. Perfect. And how would you answer it?
Suheri. Oh, actually, I need to look up stone.
It's One in Coptic. I believe it's
Doesn't
Iner.
help me much. Iner.
Right.
Suheri pa Iner.
You got it. That sounds good. And it's indeed masculine. I mean, that would be the other thing. Here it is. If you don't know what the gender of a noun is, by the way, this is super helpful. You can just basically try to look up a few sentences, and often you will find one with an article. Unfortunately, not.
And it doesn't end in T. I'm just gonna guess.
I think like 90% of the time you're gonna be right.
Yeah.
I always feel that.
I'll rather collect the exceptions, the words like demi. That are written with a T but aren't feminine, and the words that I don't know if there are any feminine words that don't end in T.
It happens. Like, for example, Ed Sheeran, the daughter, can be written without T, but then normally you'd have the little woman.
But then you have the feminine determinative.
But I would claim I've seen it without both, and then without either, I mean, but it's rare. You're right. But yeah, luckily here's a case with pa, so let's just go with it. Pa in pa.
Really, I have a little question. What about the word ramage, Roma? Is that word always masculine in Late Egyptian already? Because in Middle Egyptian it is agreed in feminine, so it would be ramage nebet for some reason.
Oh, that's super interesting. I've seen it a lot masculine. The question, however, is it always masculine, or could it be because it can also mean people, right? Hang on. That's a great question. Let's take a quick look. Look at that. So it can be feminine, apparently. This woman. Interesting.
So the article takes the gender defining role on itself here.
Yes. And that's exactly the thing. I mean, that's the nice thing. I love the articles in Late Egyptian. Why? For two reasons. One, it tells you the gender, but what's even better is it tells you that whatever comes next is a noun. So if you're not that strong in Middle Egyptian grammar like me, and you come across Late Egyptian and it tells you every single noun that it is a noun, oh, that's just heaven. I should say there are a few words which are which are not used with the article. We should cover that in a future session, like some time expressions don't get the article, and a few other words as well, like traditional titles and stuff that are a little bit more like higher register language. You don't put the article in front, and also like generic words, like if you want to say it's a dog, that example that we had, Chesenpai. You don't say a dog, you just say it's dog. So when you talk about something in the absolute sense, you don't put the article either. But otherwise, everything is the article. You can tell.
Why I asked is because it is agreed in feminine even when it's obviously a masculine noun.
Oh,
So
that's different. That's different. You see par image a lot, so that's definitely over by And of course, it doesn't want to come up now. That's helpful. Thank you. But I could swear I've seen that quite a bit. Often also just plural, of course, like in all these examples. These are all plural examples, which don't have an article, now that you pointed out. That's interesting. And here it is indeed, here it's indeed with nibbit. Huh. That's a great question.
Oh, NT. So here it is agreed in masculine, NT. In feminine, that would be untet, a little bit above.
Right.
Or whiny remage. Here it's masculine.
Right. I'm trying to find one with the article. Because with a singular article, that would tell us, right? And the problem is I have the Coptic word abdome at the back of my mind. And now I'm wondering, have I seen an example with par, or am I making it up? Here you go, par image. So it can occur with par.
Oh, is it?
Par image.
Oh yeah, that's unamun. That's obviously unamun. I hope we'll get to that. Oh no, it's not. It's Ramesses II. Oh, sorry. I thought
Yeah.
that's unamun. Oh yeah, it's Ramesses. Yeah, I see. Sorry.
Yeah. No, everything in Ramses Online is from the period that we're talking about. That's why it's a great corpus to look things up in. All right, no, great question. Love it. So yeah, we had that sentence and we had it correctly. I don't know. Do we want to do maybe one more, and I'll put a few more into homework, basically? How would you say, where is the letter? And we had letter in our very first session. It is sha in the older form. It has a T. By this point in time, that T can fall off. So how would you say, where's the letter? No takers? Then I'll put it as a homework, because I have to finish on time today, since Sumerian is going to kick off in 60 seconds, and I want to be respectful to Gabriele, because I know some will make it over there as well. So I'll send a few homework sentences. If there are any questions, please post them in the chat. But I hope this was useful. And where I want to go next from here essentially is adverbial sentences, so we finally can use some verbs after this unit. And then next, probably, we should talk about, so we're going to talk about pronouns with the verb, and then eventually suffix pronouns. And I think then we're getting to the point where we can switch over to Niver, because we've covered the writing system, some key aspects of adverbial sentences, verbs, and pronouns by that point. So then we can essentially start using his grammar productively. That would be my idea. So yeah, thanks so much, everybody, again, for participating today, and see you all next Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week.